When I was young, my family lived overseas. I lived in Indonesia for a few years, and my mother, she didn't have the money to send me where all the American kids went to school. But she thought it was important for me to keep up with the American education, so decided to teach me extra lessons herself, Monday through Friday. But because she had to work, the only time she could do it was at 4:30 in the morning. But whenever I complained, my mother would just give me one of those looks and she'd say, "This is no picnic for me either, Buster." So I know that some of you are still adjusting to be back at school, but I'm here today because I have something important to discuss with you. My father left my family when I was 2 years old, and I was raised by a single mom who had to work. And I struggled at times to pay the bills and wasn't always able to give us the things that other kids had. There were times when I missed having a father in my life. There was times when I was lonely and I felt like I didn't fit in. So I wasn't always as focused as I should have been on school, and I did something and I got more trouble than I should have. And my life could have easily taken a turn for the worst. But I was lucky. I got a lot of second chances, and I had the opportunity to go to college and law school and follow my dreams. My wife, our First Lady Michelle Obama, she has a similar story. Neither of her parents has gone to college, and they didn't have a lot of money, but they worked hard and she worked hard so that she could go to the best schools in this country. But some of you might not have those advantages, and maybe you don't have adults in your life. You gave the support that you need. Maybe someone in your family has lost their job and there's not enough money to go around. And maybe you live in a neighborhood where you don't feel safe or have friends or who are pressuring you to do things and you know aren't right. Maybe you could be a great writer. Maybe you even good enough to write a book or articles in a newspaper, but you might not know it until you write that English paper. That English class paper that assigns to you. Maybe you could be an innovator or an inventor, maybe good enough to come up with the next iPhone or a new medicine or vaccine. But you may not know it until you do your project for your science class. Maybe you could be a mayor or a senator or a Supreme Court justice. But you may not know that until you join the student government or the debate team. And no matter what you want to do with your life, I guarantee that you will need an education to do it. You want to be a doctor or a teacher or police officer. You want to be a nurse or an architect or a lawyer or a member of military. You going to need a good education for every single one of those careers. You cannot drop out of school and just drop into a good job. You got to train for it and work for it and learn for it. And this is just important for your own life and your own future. What you make of your education will decide nothing less than the future of this society. This country, the future of America depends on you. What you are learning in school today will determine whether we as a nation can meet our greatest challenges in the future. You need the knowledge and problem solving skills you learn in science and math to cure disease like cancer and AIDS, and to develop new energy technologies and protect our environment. You need the insights and critical thinking skills. You gain history and social studies to fight poverty and homelessness, crimes and discrimination, and make your nation more fair and more free. You need the creativity and ingenuity you develop in all your classes to build new companies. They create new jobs and boost our economy. We need every single one of you to develop your talents and your skills and your intellect so you can have us old folks solve our most difficult problems. If you don't do that, if you quit on school, you are not just quitting on yourself, you are quitting on your country. I know it is not always easy to do well in school. I know a lot of you have challenges your life is right now. That can make it hard to focus on your schoolwork. I get it. I know what it's like. But at the end of the day, the circumstances of your life, what you look like, where you come from, how much money you have, what you go on at home, none of that is an excuse for neglecting or having a bad attitude in school. That is no excuse for talking back to your teacher or cutting class or drop out of school. There's no excuse for not trying. Where you are right now doesn't have to determine where you end up. No one's written your destiny for you. Because here in America, you write your own destiny. You make your own future. That's why young people like you are doing every day all across the American. That was today I'm calling on each you set your own goals for your education and do everything you can to meet them. Your goal can be something as simple as doing all your homework, paying attention in class, and spending some time each day reading a book. Maybe you decided to get involved in extracurricular activity or volunteer in your community. Maybe you decide to stand up for kids or who are being teased or bullied because of who they are and how they look. Because you believe like I do, and all young people deserve a safe environment to study and learn. Maybe you decided to take better care of yourself so you can more ready to learn. But whatever you resolve to do, I want you to commit to do it. I want you to really work at it. I know that sometimes you get a sense from TV that you can be rich and successful without any hard work. And you think the success is through rapping or basketball or being a reality TV star. Chances are you are not going to be any of those things. The truth is, being successful is hard. You will love every subject that you study. You won't click with every teacher that you have. Not every homework assignment will seem completely relevant to your life right at this minute. And you won't necessarily succeed in everything the first time you try. That's okay. Some of the most successful people in the world are the ones who have had the most failure. J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter. Her first Harry Potter version had rejected 12 times before it was finally published. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. He lost hundreds of games and missed thousands of shots during his career, but he once said, I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. But these people succeeded because they understood that you can let your failure define you. You have to let your failure teach you. You have to let them show you what to do differently the next time. So if you get into trouble, that doesn't mean you're a troublemaker. It means that you need to try harder to act right. You get a bad grade, that doesn't mean that you are stupid. It means that you need to spend more time studying. No one's born being good at all things. You become good at things through hard work. You are not a versatile person the first time you play a new sport. You don't hit everything the first time you sing a song. You got to practice. The same principle applies to your schoolwork. You may have to do a math problem a few times before you get it right. You might have to read something a few times before you understand it. You definitely have to do a few drafts of a paper before it goes enough to hand in. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. I do that every day. Asking for help isn't. It is a sign of strength because it's so that you admit when you don't know something, and that then allow you to learn something new. So find an adult that you trust, a parent, a grandparent, or a teacher, a coach, or a counselor, and ask them to help you stay on track and to meet your goals. And even when you are struggling, even when you are discouraged, you feel like other people have given up on you. Don't ever give up on yourself. Because when you give up on yourself, you give up on your country. The story of America isn't about the people who quit when things got tough. It's about people who keep going, who try harder, who love their country too much, and to do anything less than their best. It's a story of student who sat where you sit 2,500 years ago and went to go wage a revolution and they founded this nation. Young people, student who sat where you sit 75 years ago, who overcome the depression and won the world war, who fought for civil rights and put a man on the moon. Student who sat where you sit 20 years ago, who founded Google and Twitter and Facebook and changed the way we communicate with each other. So today I want to ask you, all of you, what's your contribution going to be? What problems are you going to solve? What discoveries you will make? What will a president who come here in 20, 50, or 100 years say about did you did for this country? Now your families, your teachers, and I am doing everything we can make sure that the education you need to answer these questions. I'm working hard to fix up your classes and get your books and the equipment and the computer you need to learn. But you've got to do your part too. So I expect all of you to get serious this year. I expect you to put your best effort into everything you do. I expect great things from each of you. So don't let us down. Don't let your family down, your country down. Most of all, don't let yourself down. Make us all proud.